Paul Thompson here from Spitfire Audio. I've got something really lovely for you today, really exciting. It's Impressionism. This is our love letter to 150 years of Impressionist art. In 1874, Monet founded the Société Anonyme des Artistes, Peintres, Sculpteurs et Graveurs. Apologies for my French accent. A group that rejected the constraints of formal techniques of painting and of creating art. And one of the things that they were focused on was the ability to catch an immediate impression, an immediate inspiration, to form these new techniques of broad brushstrokes, quick sketching, and creating the beautiful impression that we now associate, of course, with their art. So what does this mean for us in terms of sound creation, of musical inspiration and ideation? And the answer is a trip to Air Studio One with engineer Gianluca Massimo to create some beautifully intimate, very rich, closely recorded instrumental sounds. These have all been recorded separately, and we've created a variety of different articulations. But this is where it gets really interesting. Every sound that you play in the library is divided into 3 separate parts. There's an attack portion, there's a swell portion, and then there's a sustain portion. All of these are individually controllable, and you can also control the separation, the time offset between these sounds happening. So you can have them all happening at the same time if you pull the separation control right down, like this. If we want, we can turn some of the sounds off. And then on the mod wheel, you have this new diverge control, which introduces these beautiful elements. They could be shimmering sounds, they could be trills using the scale mode. Sounds that kind of develop and the kind of thing that you always want to kind of swell in and out. Just check this out. There are different intervals that have been recorded, and the dynamic that you hit the keyboard with determines the interval that is selected from scale mode, but it will always work within the key that you've set. Now I'm just looking at a single articulation within a single preset here, Woman with a Parasol. We have a variety of different articulations, so I can flick through and try some different things out. And then you have multiple different presets here, each one containing the inspiration from an Impressionist painting. Now within that single note, as I'm moving the mod wheel, the diverge control, you'll also hear that there is an element of dissonance creeping in. And what we've done is we've created some specific overlays, some divergent signals that have a beautiful, almost Scott Walker-esque orchestration technique where things just move a little bit out of tune. It gives you just an extra control, an extra layer of beauty that you can bring into things to get that controllable amount of dissonance moving away from the note. There's all kinds of really beautiful sounds. I think you can get the idea. This is a playground for creativity. It's so much fun to play. We're still only in the first preset, but let's go to a different preset and check out some of these sounds. You can hear that there's all kinds of different ways of diverging. So different presets and different articulations will use different combinations of sounds. These have been carefully designed by the sound designers here at Spitfire to give you a vast palette, but also to help get you to something incredibly creative very, very fast. So you can just flick through, try out these different sounds. All kinds of great stuff. You can hear that everywhere you click, everywhere you play, new things are happening. But the beauty of it is that you've got so much control. So we could alter the balance here of these individual parts. We can pull the separation down so they happen more quickly. And while you'll find there's a thematic connection between the different articulations within a specific picture or a specific preset, there's so much variety of sound, timbre and instrumental selection that it really gives you a huge, huge palette of sound. Now, there's going to be situations where you're going to want a specific sound and you think, right, I just want to hone in on that. And you can go here to several of the patches which are designed just to play certain sound combinations. So for example, and here the diverge control is adding another layer, another instrument to the sound. Or alternatively, we could look at the body sound, the second component of the sound. And adding diverge. So much fun. The way that Harry and Gianluca have created the sounds, the actual recordings, is really interesting. They've lent heavily into the recording through the desk with the Air Montserrat pre's and really cranking that stuff up so that what you're getting here is a very beautifully coloured sound. It's following the whole idea, the whole concept of Impressionism through and applying those techniques and those kind of inspirational qualities to the actual recordings of the sounds themselves. So the individual samples, the individual instrumental sounds are just bursting with character. And you can definitely hear the effect when you play them back. You can hear there we're getting the scale mode back in again. So we're pulling in different intervals, different kind of fingered tremolos, I guess you would call them, different, or trills, however you want to think about them. Everything again full of character, the musicality of it, the swelling and the fading. It's just absolutely beautiful. If we want to go for the sustained element of the sounds. And here we're leaning into that, just on the edge of dissonance, that kind of lovely Walker Brothers-esque kind of crunch that you can get. Something alternative here, a little bit more on the linesman sort of vibe. But always with that edge available if you need it. The team have found such a creative way to combine all of these different recordings and different articulations that are in there. And of course, with the controls, you can go in and isolate bits. If you just want to use one bit, you can collapse or extend the time delay between things happening. There's so much control, but you've got lots of really great starting points as well. So let's go into this different preset and just play with some of the sounds. So if I want to get rid of the tremolo part of that sound, but I really like the bowed part and I want that to kind of collapse in so that that's happening at the same time as the attack, maybe I want to put a bit of splosh on this, make it very, very atmospheric. Here's what I end up with. We could change the balance so that the bowed part is just a very faint afterthought. We'll try a different articulation again. Let's go for Starry Night, which is one of my favourite presets. It's great because I've got the out of scale mode on, so I can play notes that are not in the scale that I've selected, but all of the intervals and all of the motion that is going on will still be within that scale. So I can insert little clashes in here and there without needing to really think about it. Yeah, you get the idea. There's just tons and tons of stuff in here. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Just to show you one more preset, Impasto, this technique of layering thick daubs of paint on the canvas, which you can then manipulate. And finally, I could sit and play this for hours, but finally, let's look at irises. Now, here we've got a separation out in a more traditional sense of the actual instrument. So, for example, and again, we can go into the part control and we can look at these individually. So, for example, still being able to control that diverge element. So as you can hear, I'm focusing in on this individual instrument, but I've still got tons and tons of control over the different playing techniques, the different articulations, the swells, the timing. It's just wonderful. I mean, just picking a few at random. Just here, it's so much fun. This is the kind of thing that I'm doing with this. So I've got my scale set up for C minor, well, it's C minor melodic, let's call it, on the way down. And I'm playing in E minor. So all of the notes that are being generated from the in-scale notes are related to the C minor melodic scale. And it just gives you such great crunchy clashes. It's just fabulous. Here, let's go back to C minor. And if we want to bring these all back to the front, back to the immediate these beautiful flutes. Some lovely warm clarinets. And of course, we can shift click to combine different instrument groups or different articulations at the same time. Let's take out part 2. Let's put the separation back up. or you can simply use that third section. Or if we simply want the attack, let's add the clarinets back in as well. If I simply want the sustain, or just the swells. I could sit here playing for hours, but hopefully I've given you enough of an impression, pun intended, of this beautiful new toolkit. There's lots more information on the site, so check out the website and dive in and have a little look through. At its core, it's a very, very inspirational and beautiful sounding library that gives you lots and lots of control over the different elements that have been recorded, but will equally get you up and running very, very fast, give you loads of ideas, and it's just beautifully played and beautifully recorded. And with the scale mode, you've got all of that additional extra functionality as well that can add in movement and life. It's a lot of fun to play. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. I'm really fascinated to hear what people write with this. It's been very interesting to hear demos coming in and see the reactions of some of our beta testers. And the different kind of stuff that is possible to make with it is really fascinating. So enjoy Impressionism. Thank you very much for watching, as ever, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.